someone who said a lot about Southeast political elite not caring about the release of Nnamdi Kanu. But we saw the other day, yesterday, Honorable Obi Agwaja, who raised the issue at the House of Representatives, and you know what the shouting spree that followed. Now, why do you think that it's been difficult for leaders in the Southeast to speak together in one voice for the release of Nnamdi Kanu?
I can speak to what I know. I cannot speak completely about the culture, but I know that the earliest, since Nnamdi Kanu was brought back to Nigeria, I've been somewhat involved with his lawyers, his legal team, have attended several of his trials, and as a result, I have an understanding of the fact that there is a difference between what some of the Southeast political leaders are saying in public and what they do in private. On your channel, I ignited an interview where I mentioned that I was involved when this regime of Tinubu came to power. Certain conversations relating to the release of Nnamdi Kanu, and they immediately shut it down, saying that if he came out, he would affect their chances of winning in Imo State. Elections were coming up at that time. So if you just oppose that against what then has become, today come to know, the resumption of the trial, the delays, you understand what I'm saying. It is based on my own knowledge of what I know to be, you know, in some cases, clear sabotage of his release. But you can understand that a lot of the Southeast political leaders will find it difficult to align with someone who says, let's leave Nigeria, when, as a matter of fact...
Interesting, really. It's interesting that you are making this call now, because some people have said, oh, he's not a Southeasterner and he's doing this, you know, it speaks to one Nigeria. But what would happen if some of these individuals that you've called upon did not, you know, join you? Would you still go on with the protest march in the spirit of one Nigeria?
The protest will go on with that they join or not. We just published the date of the protest. It is on October 20th at 7 a.m. Everybody will make announcements as to where people will converge in different parts of Abuja or anywhere they might find themselves, including people who might want to protest Nigerian embassies abroad. It is a broad decision, it's a broad declaration to achieve an aim. It has no political connotation. The reason why I named some Southeast leaders are because they have said publicly in press statements, in press releases, in their tweets that they want Nnamdi Kanu released. And I just want them to put their their money where their mouth is, to give some kind of veneer of credibility to their cause. So that is the reason why you see I mentioned specifically some people, particularly the governor of Abia State, who is the governor of Nnamdi Kanu, who has been speaking relentlessly that Nnamdi Kanu will come out very soon. Negotiations are on. Governor Soludo of Anambra State, I've heard him speak publicly that he's working to get Nnamdi out. Peter Obi has issued a statement as recently as last year, or maybe this year, asking them to release Nnamdi Kanu.
Okay.
And so I just want everybody who says this is what we want to come out and join us on that day.
All right, comrade, let me stay with you. I understand what you are trying to do, you know, solidarity as an activist for a friend, for a Nigerian, a fellow citizen like you. But I want us to examine a bit, you know, how this case has progressed. At a point, people were looking for, you know, a political solution to all of this. And certain group of people, like IPOB, insisted, no, let's go to court. Because at that point, you know, they were very sure that, look, that this terrorism trial was not going to go anywhere. So at this point, The court process is in progress. He's undergoing trial. Don't you think that this protest will be some kind of confrontational before the establishment when they said, look, let's look for a political solution, and people said, let's go to court? Don't you think that this protest will likely or might just complicate Nnamdi Kanu's case in terms of seeking for, another track to get him out of detention?
No, I don't understand where you got the impression from that Kanu said, let's go to court. No, it is the Nigerian government that dragged Kanu to court. In fact, his current trial came as a result of an abduction from Kenya. He was kidnapped from Kenya, flown to Nigeria under some of the most secretive circumstances. Nobody can tell you how he got to Nigeria today. They put a hood over his head and brought him to court. That I don't understand to mean that let's go to court. If that's let's go to court, I don't think that's what I understand to mean by let's go to court. Maybe you are referring to his first time around when he was arrested and tried, granted bail, and they went to his house, killed people, and he escaped from Nigeria. And they went outside of Nigeria to bring him back. I don't know how that would mean let's go to court. With regards to his chances of getting fair trial, you can't get a fair trial when the process of arraignment or the legal processes are not fair. In fact, the trial was going to be impossible under normal circumstances if somebody is extraordinarily renditioned from another country that is kidnapped. There's no basis for trial. Before you can bring somebody before trial, there's a process for getting them to come. And it includes that the country from where, in case you go outside of the country, there was a record that the person was arrested and extradited to Nigeria. This one is called extraordinary rendition. So I don't understand where this impression came from that he submitted to trial and hope that he will win. How can somebody go to Nigeria court and hope that he will win when everything is arrayed against you?
Okay. I think I'm very certain that at a point, IPOB said, let's go and trash out all of this in court. Now, my question is this. What you are trying to do, in all honesty, you want to see a Nigerian like you get freedom, especially when a court has also said that you have no locus standi to try him and all of that. But my position is this. My question is, if you understand how politics plays out in Nigeria, don't you think that the march to Aso Rock will be some kind of confrontation, like I asked before, against the establishment? And how do you think that they will react to all of this?
We have made it very clear that this is a peaceful march.
Okay.
Do they see it as confrontation? Of course, that's always how they react to every effort by Nigerians or citizens of Nigeria to solve their problem using legitimate, legal, and non-violent methods. As a matter of fact, in Nigeria's history, it is people who use violence that get the most result. But this is not what we're interested in. We're not going to change strategy because they can't think. So nothing, in my view, is going to stop us. Nothing, in my view, is tantamount to confrontation. We have made it public that is what we're going to do. We're inviting people from across the country, possibly across the world, to engage in this march. And I'm sure they understand.
That, and it was established that, some persons in Nigeria are also of the opinion that a protest, though, is legalized, but they are trying to make sure that it will not be infiltrated by some elements whom we don't really know. We saw that happen during the 1st August to August 10, hashtag End Bad Governance protest. People were being arrested and all that. Do you think that looking at what happened on the aftermath of that particular hashtag End Bad Governance move or protest that happened, we have the Abuja 11 incarceration and all that. Do you think Nigerians are going to come out at this point in time to support you and other persons whom you've called upon to say, let's march for this man's release? Remember that the federal government also took him to court for treason, plans to upturn the government.
You don't have to worry about what their reaction will be. I think our focus should be what we plan to do on that day. Interestingly, this part of Abuja where this protest will take place is one of the most secured part of the country. I don't think anywhere is more secure than the Aso Rock Villa. So the security of the city, of the protesters, is the duty of those in government. So I don't believe in this narrative that the protest should be hijacked, but of course, they might use that as an excuse, which they always do.
You know what?
And they know those of us who are protesting. I recently protested at the police headquarters, in Abuja, leading retired policemen and some kind of, serving policemen. And nothing happened. So if they want to frame the narrative as something that will be hijacked, we'll just tell them, just do your job, which is to ensure that the area is secure. If they protest, they understand the meaning of protest. And we also understand the meaning of protest. Now, we've made it very clear. We have announced the dates. They have enough information as what needs to be done. We have also invited state governors, members of the National Assembly, who themselves have personal security from the state anyway. So I don't think the narrative should be distracted by security at this point. I think we should focus on the main issues.
Reach out to the police. I'm talking about them giving you personnel for such move to happen.
Like
we
before,
know that is also one of the requirements for protest.
Unlike before, the police used to be that you have to apply to the police to protest, but the law is very clear that the police only need to be aware of the protest to take proactive action. So I'm sure, just as we are speaking, the police has already notified itself, or it's been notified publicly that there will be a protest on that day. I can guarantee you, I know the police very well, I know the DSS. I'm sure all of them are already aware. I'm sure they're planning, and that's good news.
Now, wouldn't this be seen as preempting the court, since this particular case is already in court, like my colleague rightly asked earlier? Now, you're going on to say want to protest his release, want Nnamdi Kanu to be released and all that. Isn't that a way, or maybe be perceived as preempting the court? And, we know what's legal or implication of that particular move.
I think this is going to help decongest the court of Nigeria. This is one of the cases that the courts needed not have on their calendar or on their course list. As you can imagine, each time Nnamdi Kanu is taken to court, the DSS have to seal up everywhere. They have to do everything they can to ensure that there's no movement of persons. We hear that they used to spend over 500 million naira per day just to take Kanu to court and back to his place of illegal and unwarranted detention. So this is going to help decongest our courts. The courts need to focus on more serious cases and not cases that have no business being in court in the first place.
Interesting, you talked about decongesting our courts, and some people are also concerned about decongesting our prisons. And
yes,
talking about, my colleague mentioned the Abuja 11. Their issue came up very recently. This is from the hashtag End Bad Governance protest of 2024, and they are still being tried in court at this time. 1 year over 1 year that they have been arrested for wanting to topple the government. That was the allegation leveled against them. I know you have your ears to the ground, and you know that some Nigerians are beginning to feel really livid about protests, because they've seen that some can be arraigned, children can be arraigned, some can be kept in detention for years with nobody to speak for them. And if you go to the street, some Nigerians have said, look, Nigerians don't have staying power to, force government by way of protest to get what they want. What do you say to that?
Well, I'll speak directly to the 11 persons who are still undergoing trial for end bad governance. Their trial is actually coming up again today. And we made a strong representation to the Attorney General's office to discontinue the trial. And we hope hope that they will discontinue today. What has kept the trial on the calendar of the court is some rogue police officers in the legal department of the Nigeria Police Force. I think somehow they also benefit from all these very useless cases. I think they get some kind of allowance, but we reported this again a few days ago, and they are supposed to be in court as we speak. My understanding is that the case will be discontinued today. But let me address the staying power of Nigerians, because I'm glad you mentioned bad governance protests today, and that was, I think, over a year ago. But you mentioned staying power, and you forgot that bad governance protests lasted for 10 days across the country, one of the biggest in the history of this country. So I think the problem is not staying power. I think the problem is the unity of purpose. That maybe if more Nigerians can just decide once and for all that they want to solve these problems, we don't allow people to create division, and introduce diversionary tactics and narratives to divide us, because our unity is what is missing from our resistance. And that is what bad governance was about. And that was why it was effective, and it really hurt the ruling class, because for the first time they saw North, South, everybody united. And it used to be like, oh, during NSAS, almost the entire North didn't participate, So, but that was also a very powerful protest that has staying power. And NSAS will be how many years this year? Maybe like 5 years. Okay. Anniversary is coming up. Okay. Which coincidentally is going to be the day of this protest, by the way, before people start saying, oh, why did you choose NSAS as a date of protest for Nnamdi Kanu? You will get the narrative very soon that, oh, maybe this was planned. Okay. No, there is no day in the calendar of human beings that you cannot fight for justice. Okay, so if NSAS is a day we do this for Nnamdi Kanu, and we do NSAS memorial or remembrance, it's all good. Well, it's all about justice. Some
form of more like a coincidence.
It was a coincidence, because we were all looking for a Monday. Okay. Because we, as people who do this all the time, we like Mondays, because that's the day everybody is fresh, energetic.
Fresh in the week.
And it's the most important official day of the week. So we're looking for a Monday. And it turns out to be NSAS. And we said maybe there's something to it, So we chose that date.
Very, very fortunate for the Alota community. Now, come on.
Yes, this is not an Alota community fight. This is everybody's of good conscience. Okay. Yes, it's everybody's fight.
I want us to talk about the people that you have reached out to, especially when you talk about the political leaders in the Southeast, the elites and all of that. I'm sure that you called on Chukwuma Soludo, to be part of the march, Do you recall at some point that Chukwuma Soludo said, the release of Nnamdi Kanu is not alone on this. A couple of Igbo people, especially the intelligentsia, people in government, as a matter of fact, have this opinion that the release of Nnamdi Kanu will not necessarily guarantee peace in the Southeast. Did you factor in that, did you contextualize it when you were sending out invitation to people to come and join? Because we hear that some people go to Aso Rock in the day and say, please, let this man go, release him to us. We guarantee that there will be peace in the Southeast. And at night, they go back and say, please, keep this man. Don't let him come out, because if he comes out, there might be crisis in the Southeast. Did you put all of that into consideration before reaching out to the elites in the Southeast?
I'm dealing with people who come out during the daytime to say release Nnamdi Kanu. I've had conversation before with Soludo. Okay. About Kanu, and he said his work. I'm talking about maybe 2 years ago. I've spoken to Alex Otti of Abia State personally, because Alex Otti used to be someone I know. He used to be a columnist at our reporters.
Excuse me, comrade. I hate to butt in at this point, but please permit me to do that. What I mean is that the same people that go in the day also sneak in at night. That's what we hear.
So that's the essence of calling them now to put their money where their mouth is. Are you getting my point? you to put your feet or your boots on the ground. So those who don't come out, I'm not second-guessing that that's the reason, but those who will be silent at this time, we can assume that they are probably the people who go back at night to say don't release him. But those who are going to come out or those who are going to support, we assume that they want this to end. We want the detention of Nnamdi Kanu, which would have lasted for 10 years by October 14, by the way. It would have been 10 years since they've been detaining Kanu for the same reason, including his repatriation or rendition from Kenya. So what I'm trying to say is that I don't have a crystal ball to know who goes back at night. I'm not the Aso Rock gatekeeper, but I know, and I know you're right, some people who just come out and say for political convenience, maybe for personal safety too, for political gains. I am not one of those people. I am just calling on people who I know have stated either publicly or directly, personally to me, that they want this to end. And I have to tell you that I'm surprised that there's been radio silence from some of them since yesterday. But I've spoken to Abaribe, who said, yes, we are in on. We've spoken to Agocha, the honorable who is from Nnamdi Kanu's constituency, representing him in Abuja. I said he's in on that. I've spoken to the deputy speaker to Abia State House of Assembly, who initially they had a resolution saying they want to come and march in Abuja. When I contacted them, they said they are still going to London first. When they come back, they weren't anticipating that this was going to be a placard carrying protest. They just want to visit the Attorney General. But Abaribe said they have visited the Attorney General. The entire Southeast Caucus in the National Assembly have visited the Attorney General before. They visited the NSA before. So there's no need to go back there. Let's have a unified position, march on Aso Rock peacefully, loudly. Let everybody start mobilizing for that now.
All right.
And to avoid what the security agencies might call confrontation, they can release Nnamdi Kanu before that date. And we'll just go about our normal businesses. And the business of that day otherwise will be NSA's remembrance or memorial.
Or you've been so quite vocal in Nigeria. You know, the other time you promised to make Nigeria work again. You've also held so many, will I say, town hall meetings from 2012.